Hi, my name is Kimberly Grace, and today I'm going to read to you an excerpt from my book, A Pause in Life Can Lead to Love. This is a book that I self-published, and it is available for purchase online on Amazon and other online retailers. Today I'm going to read to you chapters 3 and 4. Let's begin. Chapter 3. Jude struggled with her canvas against the whipping winds. She only had 45 minutes before her class started, but she was determined to make some headway on her current painting project. After last night's disastrous encounter with the sneaky creature, and now with the challenging winds, it felt like the world was conspiring against her in all aspects of her life, which apparently also included keeping her from working on her painting. Jude was already in a bitter mood this morning, given that she tanked her job interview with the college yesterday. At least Jude had her yoga instructor position to help support her, but this new job as an art teacher would have allowed her to get a place of her own. She tried one more time to set up the easel and canvas, but a big gust of wind knocked her entire setup over. She sighed and decided that was the final straw and packed up her supplies. After tossing everything into her trunk, she walked on the boardwalk instead and people watched as a few were starting to gather to start their morning routines. There were, of course, the usual serious joggers and bicyclists, and some teens meeting before class. Shopkeepers were also opening up blinds and doors and setting out open signs. Jude loved the quiet hours at the beach before the crowds would soon dominate the day with boisterous chatter and play. She strolled by a few surf shops and looked to see if there were any good sales going on and anything that would catch her eye. She was in the market for a new wetsuit after her current one got torn during a surfing fall into a strong undertow that slammed her onto the rocky ocean bottom. Jude rubbed her elbow, remembering the immediate stinging pain of the scrape. The ocean holds a wondrous and magical beauty about it, but Jude knew very well that it was not to be messed around with, given its propensity for sudden changes in tide and weather patterns. After thumbing through a rack outside her favorite store, she made her way to Sammy's Surf and Turf diner. The regulars were there and waved to her when she walked in. Jude made her way up to the counter, and a woman who looked very similar to Jude came out of the kitchen. Her name tag read Paula, and she also happened to be Jude's older sister. She had 2 coffee pots, regular and decaf, in her hands, plus a tray full of delicious-smelling pastries. Jude was amazed at how she was able to balance everything. "Hey, what are you doing here? You're going to be late for your class." Paula chided gently while simultaneously refilling a customer's cup and placing the pastries out on the counter. Jude tried to sneak one of the pastries, but somehow Paula managed to find a free hand to slap it away. "Yeah, I'm on my way there now. I just had a quick question to ask you. Do you happen to have any dog food lying around here that I could borrow?" Jude asked while reaching for the pastry tray again. This time Paula did not stop her but gave her a "you better pay for that" look. "I'm not sure, Jude. Why do you need it? You don't have a dog the last time I checked." "Well, I would have a dog by now if someone wasn't allergic," Jude said, pointing a finger at her sister and rolling her eyes. "Hey, you are more than welcome to move out and get your own place with a dog. No one is making you stay in our spare bedroom rent-free," Paula said with a half-smirk, and handed Jude a cup of coffee to go. "I know. I'm sorry, sis. I really am grateful to you and Doug for letting me crash at your place until I land on my feet. But you know it is a little sister's duty to annoy her big sister," Jude said with a grin. Paula stopped tending to the customers and came over to her sister. She smiled and lovingly patted her arm and said, "I know, and we love having you. I know the breakup with Scott wasn't easy on you, and your crazy landlord jacking up the rent was a cherry on top. You know you have a place with us for as long as you need. Now, you're going to be late, and I have the morning rush about to start. Tell me, why do you need dog food?" "Right, the dog food. I need it so I can lure my evil nemesis away from my painting supplies. This is the 4th day in a row, and that little scoundrel has already made off with 4 of my brushes." "Evil nemesis? Jude, I hardly think a dog could ever be labeled that." "Oh, sure, take the dog side. I thought golden retrievers were supposed to be loyal and sweet-natured. Those paintbrushes are not cheap, you know. I have sunk a lot of money into this venture, and I'm not going to lose one more brush. Do you hear me? Not one more," Jude said, holding up one finger. She said it dramatically to amuse her sister, but the truth was this dog had become a welcome distraction in a way. Yes, she was annoyed that her paintbrushes were being taken by him. The dog had even boldly tried to make off with one of her small canvases. Jude thought it was just a weird fluke the first 2 days, but on the 3rd and 4th day, this was starting to feel personal. It was like the dog was sent to steal her art supplies. Would someone actually train their dog to do this? Although, she had to admit that the dog was sweet, and she secretly enjoyed his company. She hoped that he would keep coming back to visit her, and maybe the food would entice him to stick around longer. Jude was trying hard to pick up the pieces of her broken heart and move on, but lately she felt like she was running on quicksand while searching for solid ground. If it wasn't for her faith, Jude knew she would have given up by now. It seemed as though nothing could go right in her life, or at least it didn't last for very long if it did. The nights were the hardest, with the unrelenting and horrific retelling of her failure to save her parents. Besides prayer, painting was her way of coping with everything, and escaping to another world for a while. She was close to finishing her painting, but this dog was preventing her from progressing any further with his antics. She felt compelled to figure out why he was targeting her, and what he was doing with her brushes. Hopefully, with the help of the enticing dog food, she would get her answers. Okay, I'll ask Jimmy if he will spare some dog food for you. I know he keeps a bag or two in the back to feed the customers' dogs and any strays that need it. But be careful, Jude. You don't know this dog or what he will do if you approach him. I know golden retrievers are generally sweet, but still, you can't be too careful. Thanks, sis. I knew I could count on you. Don't worry. I've never met a vicious golden retriever before. The most he will do is lick me to death, or enslave me to pet him forever. Jude leapt off the stool and stuffed half of the blueberry pastry in her mouth. She mumbled that she had to go and gave her sister a quick hug. Paula shook her head and watched her little sister race out the door. She pulled out her notepad and at the top jotted down, "Ask Jimmy about dog food for Jude." The way she wrote it made her chuckle softly at how absurd it sounded. If anything, this dog was certainly a welcome distraction from the troubles of life, and Paula hoped this dog would keep playing his game for her sister's sake. Chapter 4. The blaring sound of the printer had Lennon barking like crazy. Dylan tried unsuccessfully to stop the incessant noise. The machine had jammed while printing an important report, and now the only option left appeared to be pulling the plug. He bent down to get on his hands and knees and crawled under the desk to desperately weave his hand through the thick entanglement of cords to find the correct one he needed to pull. Lennon was now running from the office to the living room in a panicked loop, which was his way to comfort himself and offer help the only way he knew how. Finally, after what seemed like a much longer period of time than a couple minutes, Dylan grabbed the right one and the annoying beeping sound ceased. Dylan leaned against the desk and hung his head in defeat. Printer 1 and Dylan 0 today. It had already been a stressful afternoon chock full of important meetings, and now a simple print job was the final straw. He needed a break, and he knew Lennon would agree. So he shut off his work laptop and went to find his sneakers. Well, Lennon, I don't know about you, but I could sure use a beach walk right about now to decompress from today. What do you say? Lennon was already way ahead of him and was rummaging around in the mudroom to locate his leash. He was sold on the idea as soon as he heard the word walk. It was earlier than their usual time, so there was quite a crowd to navigate through to get to the dog-friendly part of the beach. They watched a couple of kids skimboarding along the water's edge, and a different group who were in a fierce competition to see who could fly their kite higher. There was always activity at the beach, and Dylan and Lennon loved to take it all in. Dylan kept the leash on Lennon this time, since it was so crowded, and he also was afraid he would try to join all the kids' activities and get in the way. He knew the kids probably wouldn't mind the interruption, and would most likely find it amusing, but trying to tear him away from their attention and being in the middle of their fun would prove to be almost impossible. As they made their way closer to the spot where they usually turn around to head back, Dylan felt Lennon yanking on the leash to keep going. Maybe he smelled an animal or food that he wanted to investigate, Dylan thought. He sighed and said, "Okay, boy, we can go a little further, but we have to turn around soon so I can finish my work for the day." Dylan felt a headache starting to form as he thought about his long to-do list waiting for him back in his office. Although the fresh, salty air and warm sunlight helped relax and renew his spirit, it did not change the reality that he would most assuredly be pulling an all-nighter to make up for this break. Dylan closed his eyes and began to pray. Lord, thank you for creating this beautiful world. I know I am a blessed man to be able to live so close to the ocean and explore its majestic wonders every day. Thank you also to man's best friend with whom I can share these special adventures. Some days it is hard to focus on gratitude when stress and life keep beating you down, but you, Lord, you renew my spirit daily. through sunrises and sunsets, sand between the toes, and cool water to soothe aching feet. Simply put, thank you for providing for all of my needs, and thank you for each day, even the hard ones. In Jesus' name, amen. The sun was now starting its descent and looked like a ball of fire, casting elegant rays of golden hues everywhere. Dylan was admiring the beauty of the rays hitting the calm ocean when all of a sudden, Lennon lunged forward so fast that Dylan lost his hold on the leash. Lennon took off racing at a much faster speed than Dylan could keep up. "Lennon! Lennon, come back!" Dylan hollered after him, but his dog was on a mission, and there seemed to be no way to stop him. All Dylan could do was head in the direction he last saw him going, and pray that he could catch up to him before he caused any mischief.